Before we start, 90% of our viewers aren't subscribed to the channel. Please subscribe and make me happy. Now, let's get into the video. Armen is an awkward and clumsy news cameraman living alone in a cramped, shabby apartment in Berlin. His life, much like his work, is marked by disorder and frustration. His shaky footage from a recent press conference and his failure to capture the most important part of an interview with officials are glaring examples of his professional incompetence. These mistakes don't go unnoticed by his boss, who, upon seeing the poor quality of work, explodes with anger and storms out of the room, leaving Armen to grapple with his failure. It's clear that Armen's career is in shambles, but his personal life is no better. At 40 years old, he's a struggling bachelor, grappling with serious financial difficulties and an overwhelming sense of isolation. Armen's personal relationships are as dysfunctional as his professional one. On some nights, he brings home random strangers from nightclubs, hoping for fleeting companionship. Yet his lack of understanding of casual relationships often leaves these women disappointed, and they quickly leave him alone again. He's left feeling more isolated, unable to connect with the people around him. One day, Armen receives a call from his father, who informs him that his grandmother is seriously ill and urges him to visit her in what could be her final days. Armen's parents have been separated for 5 years, and it's his father who has been taking care of his bedridden grandmother. Feeling obligated, Armen travels to his father's home to see her, though his strained relationship with both parents looms over him. That evening, after arriving at his father's house, Armen finds himself torn over whether to tell his mother about his grandmother's condition. After much internal debate, he decides against it, feeling it might be easier to avoid involving her in the situation. Restless and unable to sleep, he eventually goes into his grandmother's room, sitting by her bedside. With a heavy heart, he gently rests his head beside her and whispers reassuring words, trying to comfort her in her final days, though deep down he knows that everything is far from fine. The next morning, Lilo, a friend of Armen's father who often helps care for his grandmother, comes by the house. She stays for lunch as usual, and afterward, Armen's father reveals something that catches him off guard. He and Lilo have developed feelings for each other. His father shares that he wants to keep Lilo in his life and stay by her side. For some reason, this revelation stirs up discomfort in Armen, though he says nothing, unsure of how to process the news. A few days later, his grandmother passes away, leaving both father and son in mourning. In the wake of his grandmother's death, Armen feels compelled to inform his mother of the sad news. After a long, exhausting drive, he finally arrives at her house, but upon seeing her enjoying herself with friends, he loses the resolve to speak with her. Without even going inside, Armen turns around and leaves, emotionally drained and unable to share the grief he feels. On the drive back, Armen's sorrow overwhelms him and tears stream down his face. He doesn't have the strength to return to his father's house just yet, so he buys a few cans of beer and spends the night under a bridge by the river, drowning his sorrows in alcohol. The next morning, Armen wakes up groggy in his car and heads to a nearby gas station, only to find it eerily empty. The cashier is nowhere to be seen, and despite calling out, no one responds. He finds the place completely deserted, with the lights on and a few vehicles parked outside with their engines still running, but not a soul in sight. As Armen continues driving, he begins to notice the empty roads and abandoned bikes scattered on the ground. Eerie stillness of it all sends a chill down his spine. Realizing something is seriously wrong, he rushes back to his father's house, only to find the front door locked. Panicking, Armen tries to call his father. There is no response. In desperation, he breaks the glass door to get inside, but once there, he finds the house empty. No trace of his father, only the lifeless body of his grandmother remains. Confused and anxious, Armen wanders the neighborhood, searching for any sign of life. The only living creature he encounters is Cosmos, his neighbor's blind dog, which barks incessantly but refuses to follow him. Feeling utterly lost, Armen returns home to find his phone's network is gone, and there's no running water from the taps. That night, Armen hears whimpering sounds coming from outside. Rushing to the door, he finds Cosmos lying in a pool of blood, having injured itself on the broken glass from earlier. Helpless, Armen watches as the dog breathes its last breath, adding to his growing sense of isolation. In a moment of desperation, Armen breaks into his neighbor's house and finds a gun. He swallows a handful of pills and washes them down with beer, hoping to end the grim reality he's now living in. He decides to give his grandmother a proper send-off, gathering books and papers under her bed, dousing them in gasoline, and setting the room on fire as a final farewell before hitting the road. As he drives down the deserted streets, passing rows of abandoned cars, Armen comes across a police car and, in an impulsive moment, takes it for a joyride. For the first time in a while, he feels a fleeting sense of exhilaration. But soon, he encounters breeze them. Fast forward a couple of years, and we find Armen has physically transformed. His once frail body now muscular from years of survival in a world devoid of other humans. He has adapted to the new, solitary reality, living in a self-built home in the countryside. Armen raises chickens, goats, and horses, and has learned to grow his own food. He even works on generating electricity with a rotating turbine powered by the nearby river. One night, while checking on his animals, Armen witnesses one of his goats giving birth. It's a rare moment of joy for him, but the happiness is short-lived as a wild jackal steals the newborn soon after. Despite chasing after the predator, Armen is unable to save the baby goat. Dejected, he sits by the mother goat, trying to comfort her, a mirror of his earlier moment with his grandmother. Armen's days pass quietly, though he occasionally ventures into town on horseback to gather supplies. One such trip turns dangerous when he and his horse are attacked by a wild animal in the water, leaving him with a head injury. Armen collapses in the water, unconscious, and later wakes up on the riverbank, confused and alone, with no memory of how he was rescued. Eventually, Armen encounters Kirsty, a woman who stumbles upon his home. Though their initial interaction is tense, she points a gun at him, they eventually form a bond. Over time, they develop a casual relationship, sharing meals, beds, and work, trying to make the best of their bleak circumstance. However, their relationship becomes strained when Armen expresses his desire. Despite their emotional connection, Kirsty reveals that she plans to leave for good, and Armen, heartbroken, watches her drive away. With nothing left to do, he releases his animals, symbolically letting go of the life he had built.